Welcome to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton Hotels. The newly appointed #1 Buckeyes have embraced the hype of a realistic run to the title game, but against the #18 Badgers tonight in primetime, that title picture could be changing by the end of the night. Aaron Andrews is down below with Wisconsin coach Brent Bielema, so let's go to Aaron now.
Brent, thanks so much. Turnovers killed you against Ohio State last year. I know you've been harping on that all week long. What's key in taking care of the ball against this defense?
Well, good decision making. Ball security could be with the guy running with the ball and also the guy throwing the ball. So Scott's been aware of that, and we've been pretty good here as of late. We just got to carry forward what we've been doing.
Now talk about your defense. What aspect of Terrell Pryor's game have you asked them to maybe key in on tonight?
Well, last week was a little different game for him, so figure out what they're doing, be able to have the answers and get off the field on third down.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Brent.
Well, let's follow up on exactly what Aaron was asking about. If you go back to last year's game in Columbus, the Badgers dominated everything except the final score. But take a look at the bottom of that graphic. Special teams and defensive touchdowns. Ohio State with 3, 2 pick sixes, and a kickoff return turned it around completely. And so here Jim Tressel will see his defense out early tonight as the Badgers won the toss, and they will take the football to begin the game.
Interesting to see Wisconsin in front of this crowd. You think they might want to try to pin Ohio State back, get the defense out on the field, and try to affect Terrell Pryor and get the ball in the second half. But it maybe a little bit against the grain there to see Brett Bielema saying, let's take the football and attack this Ohio State defense.
So Drew Besa, the young distance kicker, if you will, for the Buckeyes, will put the ball on the tee, and we'll be underway. Brutus making the trip from Columbus, so settle in, everybody. It's going to be a noisy night in Madison, and it's a pleasure to have you along with us. It's been another wonderful Saturday in college football, and more ahead of us. Underway. David Gilreath from the 3. 25, 30, 35, explodes midfield. A chance to return the opening kickoff for 6. He'll take it to the house. 97 yards. David Gilreath, the senior from Minneapolis.
Brett Bielema, Brent, talked about how important it is for guys to make plays in this kind of game. And how about the very first play? Coach Bielema gets exactly what he wants from David Gilreath. Huge return.
Philip Welsh for the extra point. He was so quick that Ryan Wickesburg had to find his helmet to dash out on the field. He holds it, and it's 7-0.
Ohio State special teams have been a Achilles heel to the Buckeyes all year. Remember, Miami had Lamar Miller take one back for a touchdown in week 2, and this time Gilreath gets a few blocks, but guys out of their lanes, picks up and hits a seam, and then Ohio State not having the speed to be able to catch up to the very, very quick David Gilreath. But boy, what a way to set the tone for the Badgers with the opening kickoff at home. Great blocks up front, and Gilreath hit that seam, and he didn't slow down.
Herbie, just to follow up on what you were saying about the special team woes for Jim Tressel. A couple of field goals blocked. A punt has been blocked. Now 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown, not to mention a punt return. And they start out that way here in Madison.
Very uncharacteristic of Jim Tressel's teams we talked about. Usually he goes on the road and he tries to make sure the special teams are buttoned up and the defense is ready to win the field position battle. And now the first play, Gilreath makes them pay and takes it all the way to the house.
He's a young man who suffered a concussion against San Jose State. Back on the field tonight for the Badgers, and he delivers on the opening kickoff. 97 yards. Now it's 12 seconds later. Welsh with the kickoff, and Barry coming out for the Buckeyes. On that far side, he's to the 29-yard line. And so, Herbie, here comes Terrell Pryor. You and I certainly watched the game in which he exploded on the national scene, beating Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I think that was his coming out party. And I think this year you're really seeing a more mature Terrell Pryor and a quarterback that's in more command of the offense, making good decisions, a threat to run and to throw. And as I said in the open, Brent, I think a big key is, does Ohio State come out with an aggressive approach with their play calling, or are they conservative? We'll have to see. It looks like the shotgun to start things out.
Boom Herron is the running back to his left, and Pryor is going to throw on first down, complete for a first down, and he hits DeVere Posey, the junior from Cincinnati, with Valai back, and he makes the stop. So offensively, as you might expect, a very solid Buckeye contingent in here, with Brandon Sane stepping out as a pass receiver. Herron is more of the inside runner, and there is one of the better offensive lines in the Midwest right there. It is now 1st and 10 after that pass, and option look, late pitch to Herron over his head, ball free, out of bounds. Buckeye football at the 30, but that's a loss.
Terrell Pryor and the option here, the ball is actually, he is stretched, and as a defensive end and outside linebacker, it's exactly what you want to do, is make the quarterback get as close to the sideline. He runs out of room, decides to just kind of flip it, and it's high and it's got a lot of speed behind it. Tough for Boom Herron to be able to secure that football, and the Buckeyes fortunate that the ball went out of bounds.
Loss of 12 puts Ohio State in a 2nd and 22. Play action. Pryor dumps in underneath to the fullback, and that's Zach Boren makes his first catch, and Blake Sorensen the stop for the Badgers. Defensively, Wisconsin will line up this way, and keep an eye on number 99, J.J. Watt. He's one of the better defensive ends in the Big Ten. A little short-handed at linebacker. Mike Taylor, back from an injury from a year ago, just a sophomore. And in that secondary, Valai, I told you, is a key player, and the corners will have to hold up as Brandon Sane is on the field for his first play. Loves the wheel route. It's 3rd down and a bunch. That is Sane, number 3. Looks it for him and then goes downfield, goes up over the top, and was it intercepted? Incomplete, out of bounds. Intended for Sanzenbacher, but Aaron Henry, the safety, came over and grabbed the ball, but was out of bounds.
Boy, what a great effort, Brent, here on 3rd down. Ohio State giving Terrell Pryor enough time, but Aaron Henry, the former cornerback, goes airborne, and I know he's out of bounds, but it's a great effort. Good coverage, it's tight, and he just misses getting his right toe down for that interception.
And guess who's back? Mr. Gilreath. He will return this punt. Ben Buchanan. Gilreath going to take a crack at it. Out to the 35, shakes a tackle. Hasn't gone down yet tonight, but he is pushed out of bounds at the 41. Brandon Sane downfield on the coverage. The Badgers jump out ahead of the number 1 team by a touchdown.
This telecast is available in 3D, presented by Sony.
Well, the Badgers come in 5-1, and quarterback Scott Tolzien, only loss of the season up at East Lansing against Michigan State.
Tolzien, I think his efficiency very important for the Badgers, and I think tonight a couple times they're going to have to be able to throw on the early downs to get back to setting up their famous running game.
There's John Clay behind him, and Clay will come to the left. This was the play that the offensive coordinator told us he'd run because that's who we are. As we take a look at another outstanding offensive line. But, of course, that's nothing new here in Madison. And you take a look at the young men who will operate behind it. Nick Toon with a turf toe, and he's a key wideout. Lance Kendricks is a wide receiver who is now a downfield threat as a tight end. And there is that front wall. And, I mean, they are good. 2nd down and 6. Come right back with Clay into the middle. 1st down. as they gash the Buckeyes that time before Ross Holman makes the stop.
They have a jet sweep coming around just to freeze the linebackers just enough, and that's exactly what happened to Brian Roll. You see this all over the country. Sometimes quarterbacks will be handing it off on the jet sweep. Other times they fake it just to hold the backside linebacker. And John Clay, the coaches have been challenging him the last couple of weeks. He's healthy now, and they want to see him start to run with some authority. So far, off to a good start in these first couple carries.
And as you know, Paul Chris loves that jet sweep. That's a big part of the offense here. They sit still this time, and he comes right back behind the road graders. Now defensively for the Buckeyes, and arguably this is the best defense in the Big Ten this year. Cameron Hayward, 97. You might want to keep an eye on him, folks. He'll move around that defensive front. Brian Roll and Ross Holman are both tackling machines. In the secondary, Chekwa, all Big Ten performer on the corner. Devon Torrance also enjoying a good year. Hayward is down on 2nd and 5. Quick screen, first down, and Nick Toon makes the first catch for him, and Jermail Hines with the tackle.
Nice job by Tolzien, and this is what you need to do just to keep the safeties and the defensive backs, the corners, respecting that you have this in your repertoire. It's not just about the running game with Wisconsin. Tolzien completing about 70% of his passes coming in. You touched on Nick Toon. You add in Gilreath. Lance Kendricks might be the best pass-catching tight end, not only in the Big Ten, one of the tops in the country. So they've got enough weapons on the outside to make defenses like Ohio State have to respect that element.
At the Buckeye 30-yard line. There's that look again, and Clay explodes across the 15-yard line. This young man wears number 32, and there's a penalty flag, and now 2. I want to quickly tell you why he wears 32. His father was a huge fan of Jimmy Brown, the Cleveland Brown Hall of Famer. And the young man learned at his father's knee what a great running back Brown is, and that's why he wears that number.
There are 2 fouls on the play. After the play, personal foul, number 34 on the offense. Personal foul, number 7 on the defense. Those fouls offset.
That was Ewing for the Badgers and Hines for the Buckeyes.
Great blocking up front, and you know, early in this game you're going to have some emotions flying. Ohio State a little bit frustrated. Ewing getting in there, and Hines, anytime you do that right in front of the official after the whistle, that's an obvious penalty. But how about Wisconsin's offensive line right now? The line you're talking about, controlling the line of scrimmage and giving John Clay plenty of room to operate.
Clay is still there in that deep set on 1st and 10 in the red zone. They come behind, touchdown. Badgers go up 2 scores on the #1 team in the country.
This offensive line continues to dominate, and he doesn't get touched. A couple Ohio State linebackers kind of whiffing, trying to get around the lineman. It's very tough as a linebacker. You start to try to get around a big offensive lineman, and they're just turning him away from the ball carrier, and it's very easy for John Clay, that time untouched all the way into the end zone.
Welsh tacks on the extra point. The Buckeyes have been stunned on the road in Madison.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here. And in part by Chevrolet. Every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty. And Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Built in 1951, the Babcock Hall Dairy Store serves as the oldest university dairy plant in the United States. Well, right after he scored that touchdown, look at former Heisman Trophy winner. That's Ron Dane coming up to congratulate Clay, who on that drive carried 5 times for 51 yards. The numbers carved into his head, those are the numbers of his offensive linemen. He had that done yesterday. Welsh with the kickoff. And Jordan Hall comes out for the Bucks to the 25-yard line. Herbie, let's take a look at our Chick-fil-A drive recap
Well,
here.
Wisconsin's getting this game started exactly the way they want. They controlled things on 6 plays, 58 yards, 51 of them on the ground by John Clay. And it's because of Wisconsin's offensive line. Look at the blocking up front. Great scheme designed by Paul Chryst, the offensive coordinator. Ohio State denying some of the blocks. The safety slow to come up and fill. And right now, there's no question about it early in this game. The Badgers are taking it to Ohio State much more physical.
Both Heron and Sane. Pryor just keeps it all the way, and nobody lays a hand on him until he reaches the 47-yard line and is finally shoved out of bounds.
This is a very important drive for Terrell Pryor in Ohio State. On the road, down by 14, hostile environment, some good blocking downfield. Sazzenbacher trying to stay with the corner that time, does a good job. And this is what Pryor's going to have to do for Ohio State. Now, obviously, down by 14, not just his ability to throw the ball, but when he can scramble and create with his feet.
He picks up 22. Heron leaves. Sane is a running back next to him. There's that quick flash screen, and that is Sazzenbacher, his first reception, as we go to Reese Davis for an update. Reese?
Brett, Taco Bell studio update. A record most points ever scored in regulation in a game involving SEC teams as Michael Dyer of Auburn guts the Razorback defense. It's a final now. Auburn wins 65-43.
Did I hear you say 65-43? I might have to ask Reese what's happened to the defenses in the SEC. Oh my! Pryor back, fires, incomplete, intended for Posey. Great coverage by Fidelis. Fidelis was all over him that time.
Yes, sir, Brent. Fidelis, I think, doing a good job of anticipating the route. Terrell Pryor kind of telegraphing the ball. He breaks on the ball very, very quickly, but that's just knowing what to expect on second down and short to medium and being up close to the line of scrimmage and not giving too much of a cushion to Devere Posey. Good coverage that time by Fidelis.
3rd and 7 for Pryor and the Bucks. He's going to take off and try to run for it. Bangs for it. When you see Terrell Pryor in person, you would think, if you didn't know, that he's a defensive end. He is that big.
He and Cam Newton, right? Kind of the new age of quarterbacks. But see how the linebackers clear out, Brent? I think Terrell Pryor recognized that right away and thought, I can get there with my speed. He kind of aborted the drop, aborted the routes, saw the linebackers clear out, and picked up the first down.
Plus the 45-yard line. Throwing on first down. Has good time for the offensive line. And then an errant throw. Incomplete. Posey was in the neighborhood.
Find out what kind of composure Terrell Pryor has, where he's on the road, he's down by 14, #1 ranking, all the hype, all the buildup for Jim Tressel and the Buckeyes. David Gilreath returns the opening kickoff. This stadium's ready to collapse. It's shaking. The next drive, they move right down the field. And let's see what Pryor has right now as he's down 14. See what kind of composure and poise he has.
They bunch receivers on the left.
Let it go, let it go!
Steps in that direction, fires back in the middle, incomplete. And again, it was Posey. So far, you know, Herbie rushing the ball. It's been all Pryor here for the Bucks.
But watch Posey on the backside. He's got to be able to feel the linebackers and just kind of settle down. He did not give his quarterback any room to work with. If he would have settled down at about that the right hash mark, it would have given Terrell Pryor plenty of room to be able to throw to the backside. And there was a big window on the opposite, but he continued, and he almost put himself in coverage.
Pulls out on 3rd and 10. And a great grab, just shy of a first down by Sazzenbacher. And they're going to give him a good spot on it, it looks like. As you see the ball being put down, if the yellow marker's right on the line, and let's change that to Stoneburner, who made this great catch off the injured list. So let me correct myself. And that ball's down the ground. Will that be ruled incomplete?
I think they'll take a look at that. I think the tip of the ball hit the surface. Pryor's trying to get to the line fast, but I think they'll probably stop this.
They did not. And here comes, no, hold it. There's a penalty flag. Let's see if the communicator was trying to get the attention of the officials. the line judge quickly threw that flag and stopped it.
Prior to the snap and prior to any foul that might have been committed, the previous play is under further review.
Yeah, Jim Augustine was getting the signal down to the field to Dan Capron's crew, and they got it down in time. And the Buckeyes, as Herbie told you, were quickly trying to get the next snap. There doesn't seem to be much question about this, as the ball right on the end of it comes up in his arms, and that will be ruled incomplete by Jim Augustine here upstairs, I believe.
Yeah, you were right, Brent, about great effort by Stoneburner to be able to reach out and be able to hold on to the football. But when you get a view, you get a second look at this, you can clearly see that the nose of the football, as he extended himself, he's reaching out, trying to hold on to it. But when the nose touches the ground like that, that's going to be an incompletion, set up a 4th down.
And of course, now it becomes an issue. They'll take it back to the original line of scrimmage, so they'll bring it down to back to the down marker here, because it'll be ruled incomplete. So just to refresh your memory, sometimes I even forget that it's not coach's challenge with instant replay, but every play is being reviewed in the college game, and there's a communicator who signals them down on the field, and then they continue to look at it upstairs here. They make the decision and they pass it on along to the crew down below.
Stoneburner being back in the lineup, just to talk about him physically, he gives Ohio State a tight end who can actually get vertical. He's a wide receiver in high school, and you could see his hands there. You know, it's probably going to come back. You can see he's pretty athletic, pretty nimble. He's out with an ankle, so him getting back in the lineup, a big weapon for Terrell Pryor to try to use. You
know how well the Badgers have used tight ends through the years and have another great one? Well, guess who's here tonight being recruited by Wisconsin? One Nick O'Leary. Now, there are fans in Columbus who know immediately who I'm talking about. It's Jack Nicklaus's grandson, who plays for Dwyer High School down in South Florida, down in West Palm Beach. He and a couple of his teammates, including the quarterback who you saw in the Herb Street game in Cincinnati in that controversial game, another good player, being recruited by the Badgers.
You know, Brett Bielema does such a good job of recruiting in Florida. As an assistant coach and a coordinator when he was at Kansas State and Iowa and even Wisconsin, he did a good job.
Review, the receiver did not have firm control of the ball going to the ground. Therefore, by rule, the pass is incomplete. It will be 4th down and 10 at the 48-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 8:25.
That's the right call.
And that is the beauty of instant replay.
Yes, it is.
I know that sometimes the delays seem a little painful, and sometimes, to be perfectly honest, they do take too long to make the decision. But the key thing that you want, get it right.
The chains had already moved, and they had already signaled it for a 1st down. So now they're trying to figure out where the ball should be and making sure they get everything lined up properly.
I think they're going to bring back another 5 yards. Didn't the referee say yes? They're going to bring it back another 5 yards. He said the 48-yard line, which is what Jimmy Augustine told them upstairs. And so it'll be Buchanan punting and David Gilreath returning. And in case you were watching another game or just joining us now for a short time, Gilreath returned the opening kickoff 97 yards for a touchdown. He's going to make a fair catch on this punt at the 11-yard line. We'll take a break. The #1 team in the nation, the Ohio State Buckeyes, trails by 14. Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM, is on ESPN tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Chris Berman and the gang will have updates from all the stadiums. They'll have a conversation with Ben Roethlisberger. He was interviewed by Merrill Hodge. And then I want to hear Mike Ditka's opinion on the Panic Bowl. Cowboys and the Vikings. Both teams under pressure not to go 1-4. That'll be some great conversation tomorrow at 11 o'clock. 1st down and 10 now for the Badgers. There is Big Clay. John Clay, 255-pound junior from Racine, slipping and sliding on that carry. Now, this is a note here, Herbie. As far as the Buckeyes are concerned, the last time they have given up 14 points in the 1st quarter, they lost that game.
And you know what else is interesting? They were ranked #1 in the country in that game when they lost to Illinois. So it's an interesting parallel. We'll keep an eye on things as it goes on, but still a long way to go in this football game, and Pryor has a chance to, I'm sure, get Ohio State back in it.
And they switched running backs, and James White, the freshman from St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale. Your first look at him here tonight for 8 yards. Chekwa makes the stop. There's a young man who's been a difference maker for the Badgers.
Great quickness, Brent, and the vision for a young back. See how the flow? The offensive line's getting a good push. This offense is designed more often really for James White on the cutback. Design cutback, the backside blocks do a good job of just trying to get Ohio State's defensive linemen on skates, pushing them from right to left. And White recognizes that. Little jump cut back to the right and picks up big yards.
Scott Tolzien with a 3rd and 2 for the offense. White stays on the field. He'll try to get the first down, and he does with a second effort. First down and 10. Up by 14. You can't be surprised at what Wisconsin is doing right now. Keep moving the chains and move the clock and keep pounding.
Amen. And it's, you know, we had Stanford earlier this year, their 3 tight end sets, and talked a lot about Jim Harbaugh, old school offense. Now, Wisconsin, to me, is a little bit different because they're going to get into their 3 tight end sets, but they are going to be physical. They're committed to running the ball, but they also can pull it out with the same personnel grouping and throw the football to a very talented group of tight ends.
They flash it to the outside to Nick Toon, his second reception, and he picks up 9 as we go to Reese Davis. Reese.
All right, Brent, SportsCenter right now brought to you by Discover. Iowa, 15th in the country, beat Michigan 38-28. Ricky Stangi, Daryl Johnson-Koulianos hooked up for 3 touchdowns. Robinson went for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Game 2 of the ALCS. Yankees down 5 again, but running out of time for a rally. Rangers have a 7-2 lead, trying to even the series at a game apiece.
And here, Reese, Wisconsin has jumped out to a 2-touchdown advantage on the #1 team, Ohio State. White trying to work his way toward that first down marker. Nathan Williams, the junior, makes the stop for Jim Tressel's Buckeyes.
Wisconsin just, they're going to run the ball, and they're going to keep you honest. They've thrown 2 passes tonight early in this game. Just a quick little pass, that quick pass to the outside of the receiver. Again, keep those defensive backs out there, keep them away from the running game, and then get back to running the ball. You feel like they're starting to squeeze down, fire another one out to the outside. And it's kind of just reading and reacting to what the Ohio State defense is doing.
Ewing in the game, and White is an excellent receiver also. This time they give it to him again, however, on the ground, and no more than a yard against that Buckeye defense. Homan makes the stop on White.
Ohio State's defensive line, which has been a strength for Ohio State for many years, really being challenged tonight. They're going to try to rotate as many bodies in as they can to try to keep the blockers off of players like Ross Homan and Brian Roll to allow them to be able to make plays instead of 8 or 9 yards downfield. They've got to try to penetrate and create some short yards or even negative plays.
Tolzien has completed both his passes here tonight. 2nd down and 9. He moves White over to the other side.
Keep it up.
He's looking to the right, fires high and complete. Dangerous throw, got away with it. Isaac Anderson, the senior from Minneapolis who attended Blake High School, picks up another first down.
And it's a good thing that Tolzien threw this on time, because Jamel Hines almost came up with a big play to get Ohio State back into this game. Hines jumps the route, but because Tolzien threw it on time and to the outside away from the defender, he was able to get away with it.
7 first downs for the Badgers already. And on first down, they pound ahead. And James White brought down by Cameron Hayward.
Pretty physical in the trenches. Hayward's in there battling, trying to make a play. That time, boy, he lowered the boom on the true freshman. Him and Hayward at about 290 pounds, the leader up front for the Buckeyes. That time fighting off of a double team and knocking James White down.
As you can see the size, and Clay checks back in. The 255-pounder replaces. He gets the first call, middle, got another first down. So the little breather on the sideline, he comes back refreshed, and he bounces to the 40.
Keep an eye on 70, Kevin Zeitler, the guard. The right guard gets up to Ross Holman. He's been doing that the entire game. He's trying to hold on to his double team and respect that. And then once he feels that his partner is able to secure that first block, he's able to get up to the second level and lock into Ross Holman. And there's nobody left there to take on John Clay.
Clay was 65 yards, 80 total rushing already here for the Badgers. Coming back with number 32, and it is Clay to the 35, and Hines forced to come up and make that tackle. And Herbie, they are working their way with this offensive line through those defensive tackles. They're opening some big holes up.
16 plays, 13 runs, and controlling the line of scrimmage. And Ohio State on almost every snap has sometimes 8, sometimes 9 guys up close by the line of scrimmage in the box trying to stop this running game, and they still can't.
2nd and 5. Here comes Clay again, and that time Hines was coming from the backfield, and he was able to jam it up back there. So Jimmy Haycock brought a little outside pressure that time, and they were able to sort of jam up the point of attack for Clay, and he will take himself over to the sideline.
The answer to that, not necessarily here on 3rd down, Brent, but the answer if Ohio State starts to blitz the safeties to help out and run support is a little bit of play action. You fake the success of the running game and then hit Lance Kendricks behind those linebackers and behind the safeties for a big pass play.
Now White, good receiver we have pointed out, checks in on this 3rd down play. Tolzien looks the other way, and it'll depend on the spot. Chekwa does a fine job on Anderson that time. The point of the football may be touching the line.
Looks like they're not even going to bring out a measurement here, but Chekwa that time, great reaction to come up because it looked like Isaac Anderson, Brent, really had enough room to be able to make the catch and then get upfield for their 1st down.
Timeout has been called. It's possible that the spot is being reviewed on this play. Let's take a look at this with the line in it. Remember, that line is not official now. They'll spot the forward progress. Chekwa made a fine stop. This is why this young man will definitely be playing Sunday football.
Remember last year's game where Wisconsin controlled the football game for the most part, ended up having the 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns and a kickoff return for a touchdown, but they had the ball for 42 minutes. Now think about this. Now here we are in 2010. They're returning opening kickoff for a touchdown, and yet they still have, they've had the ball for almost 10 minutes
after further
here
review.
in the 1st quarter.
The ruling on the field stands as called. 4th down.
This drive started back on the Badgers' 11-yard line, and right now the 13th play of the drive coming in. The Badgers with a 14-0 lead on the Buckeyes. Tolzien under center. Straight ahead. Peter Kahns is a sophomore from Neenah, Wisconsin, 6'5", 313 pounds. And the coaches here think he's going to become an outstanding center. He led the way that time for Tolzien.
Pretty nice as a quarterback when you have Kahns and company leading your way on a quarterback sneak. Probably the shortest game that Wisconsin's had all day. But that offensive line doing a good job, got enough of a push there to easily allow their quarterback to pick up that first.
So the quarterback from Rolling Meadows, Illinois, 6'3" senior, back under center. Here's the handoff to the young running back, and that shows you why they are so fond of him. Holman makes the tackle on White, and the students hold up those sheets of white paper to honor their freshman. He has a little bit of a burst too. If he gets daylight, he can take it.
I think people assume because of Clay weighing in at 255 pounds and White at about 198 that he's the quick back and Clay is the power back. And maybe that's true to a certain extent, but as you just saw right there from James White, he's going to lower his shoulder and he's going to try to carry some defenders for yards.
Kendricks is the tight end on the right side of the formation. Now he flexes off. They come back with White, and not this time, as the Buckeyes were ready. Johnson, Orion Johnson, the sophomore from St. Petersburg, Florida, comes up to make the stop. The fans here appreciate the effort by the Badgers in the first quarter. Let me remind everybody that every Sunday from now on, you'll catch the BCS Countdown Show on ESPN for the unveiling of the new BCS rankings. So week 1 for the BCS rankings tomorrow night at 8:15. And that'll go 45 minutes and then switch over to the U at 9 Eastern for more talk about what's going on. And right now, there's a whole lot of folks interested in what's happening to Ohio State here in Madison. They trail the Badgers 14-0. We get started here with the second quarter. And White, the freshman running back, flares out. Tolzien on the move and wide open. And that's the young man who returned to kickoff. David Gilreath scored the game's first touchdown, but hang on. Penalty flag coming back.
Brent, I think there's a late hit here on the quarterback by the defensive end.
Foul. Roughing the passer. Defense, number 43. The penalty will be assessed half the distance to the goal. First down.
Two things. Nathan Williams comes in late and hits Tolzien, but the other thing is Devon Torrance on third down giving such a soft cushion to the receiver Gilreath. Third down, you've got to tighten things up on the outside. Once he made the catch, very, very easy for him. Look at the room that he has to work there to make Torrance miss him and then get upfield.
I know some of you disagree with that call, but remember, they are really protecting these young men more than ever this year in college and in the National Football League. John Clay in as the running back behind a fullback. First down and goal. Here comes Clay. Struggling to get back to the original line of scrimmage as we take a look back at how Specific is doing in the red zone. And it's brought to you by Verizon, and the Badgers have been very effective.
They sure have. And, you know, last week, I know it's Minnesota, but it is a rivalry game. 6 times in the red zone, 6 touchdowns. So they come into this game with a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum off of last week's game. And the way John Clay is running, wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a little bootleg or play action pass.
And here's Clay. Stopped just short of the end zone. It'll be third down and goal inside the 1-yard line. Probably you'd be tempted to come right back with the same play.
It's working, and I thought maybe Paul Chris might try to catch. Look at Ohio State, 11 guys in tight. Where you fake that, and you maybe try to slide a tight end behind that. It's probably an easy touchdown, but John Clay is so successful. This offensive line still getting such a big push, and that time Hines showing his toughness at 215 pounds, meeting the big tailback there and holding him out of the end zone. Big third down.
Over the top for Clay for his second touchdown of the night. A shocker in Madison.
Good job here, third down. Ohio State gets a little bit of a push, but a good decision, I think, there by John Clay to get airborne at 255 pounds. He gets up just enough, and nobody wants to meet him. That was very, very close there. Looks like his extension right there gets him into the end zone, but he landed very close to the goal line. Welsh
adds another extra point. They go 89 yards in 19 plays, and it's 21-0 Wisconsin. And the game summary is as lopsided as you might think, with the score 21-0. 2 Buckeye drives have resulted in 2 punts, and the Badgers electrified this sellout crowd by returning the opening kickoff 97 yards for a touchdown, and they haven't looked back yet. Now, Herbie, you made a real good point in that commercial. that the Buckeyes need to get something on the board before the intermission.
Yeah, Wisconsin obviously took the ball to start the game, and they had a big kickoff return. I think for Ohio State on the road, Jim Tressel's probably just thinking, stop the bleeding, try to come up with anything, and remembering they get the ball to start the second half, but they've got to get something going.
Welsh kicks it off, and it'll be fielded at the 7. Here's Berry. And Berry is out to the 32-yard line. As we take a look at this week's BCS standings along with the AP and the coaches poll, you can see that the humans have the Buckeyes first, but you can see the projected BCS has Boise State #1 and the Buckeyes #5 based on strength of schedule. Now tomorrow we will get the first official standings, and there's a good chance that it'll still be Boise State and Oregon 1-2. Oregon idle this week, and Boise State playing San Jose State out west a little bit later tonight. So that's your all-state standings here with Dan Herron to the left of Terrell Pryor. He gets his first carry from scrimmage and no more than a yard. That's only the 12th offensive play. The John Clay watching for the Badger bench. Buttram makes the stop for the Badgers.
You know, you and I did a game last week down in Miami, and we watched a game that we thought would be inspiring, in Florida State and Miami, and one team showed up and played inspired. One team was physical, and that was Florida State. Through about the first quarter and working now into the second quarter, right now Ohio State looks flat. Wisconsin looks more determined. They look hungrier. Both sides of the ball, they're winning the battle up front in the trenches. You wonder how things can begin to turn for Ohio State the way things look right now.
Pryor is looking to turn things. Going deep down that far sideline, got a man covered, and there was contact over there on the play. No flag. Corey Brown, the freshman from Pennsylvania, covered by Niles Brinkley, and I mean Brinkley was on him like a glove.
He was, and Brown has great speed for a true freshman. He can get behind coverage in a hurry, but that is great coverage. Brinkley doing a good job. Finds the football. That's very key for a defensive back. Locates the football, and the receiver's eyes, Brown, signifying that he's looking for the ball. His hands go up. Brinkley finds it and makes the turn.
That'll save you an interference call.
Absolutely.
When you're looking at the ball.
Absolutely.
That official sees that you're playing the football and not the man.
You have a right to the ball.
Absolutely. It looks like we've got a stoppage here, a timeout. On this third down play. Ohio State and Trussell wanted to talk about it. They'll bring the offense over to Jim. You know, the Buckeyes have not given up 21 points and a half this season. The most 17 in that game, that victory over Miami in Columbus. Uncharted territory for the #1 team in the nation. Timeout. We are back now for 3rd and 9 for Terrell Pryor and the Bucks. He is 0 for his last 5, 3 of 9 overall. Flushed, eludes a tackle, reaching for the first down, and he's got it as he steps out of bounds.
3 receivers off to his left to the field. He has DeVere Posey off to the right, and I looked at that formation and I thought either DeVere Posey to the right is going to have to make a play, or Terrell Pryor's going to have to scramble. And this gives you an idea what he can do in the open field. Doesn't necessarily look like he's moving that fast, but at 6'6", he's with those long legs, he's covering a lot of ground. Obviously able to get away from the defensive line, but even the linebackers and safeties in space have a tough time bringing him down.
Sane steps out of the backfield. Pryor going to try to set the screen with Herron the other way. Crosses midfield to the 45-yard line, and Cahoot, big defensive lineman, back there making the stop, number 91.
Jim Tressel trying to slow down this aggressive Wisconsin defense. They're feeding off of this lead in the crowd and the energy of the stadium. And I think on a first down call, smart call by Jim Tressel there, trying to go back to the backside screen, trying to get that Wisconsin defense flowing to the field to follow Terrell Pryor.
With Kirk Herbstreit and Aaron Andrews, I'm Brent Musburger. We welcome you to Saturday Night Football on ESPN. The #1 team in the nation, down 3 touchdowns. And here is Herron picking up a first down for the Buckeyes. We're putting together the most impressive drive of the night. Claxton, a backup linebacker, makes the stop. But the Buckeyes for the first time tonight, and it was a big 3rd and 9 they converted, but they are starting to move the ball a little bit.
You and I also talked at the break about Ohio State being down, all the pressure being #1. The importance of having a head coach like Jim Tressel who calls the plays, not to abort the game plan, try to kind of stick to your guns. It hasn't gone well, and just try to work yourself slowly and methodically back into the game. But this drive is big for Ohio State, obviously.
The read option. Pryor takes it, trying to get the corner, and he is tripped up. And that was Finellis, who's made a couple of fine plays. The corners for the Badgers have made strong plays here in the first half.
That is a great play by Finellis. This is not an easy thing to do. Watt, who's got good speed as a defensive end, almost chases down Pryor, makes him go to the outside. But you're right, Brent, the corners from Wisconsin, they're not going to go to Indianapolis at the combine and blow you away. But in this system, they're just physical, they're tough, they're gritty, they're willing to do a lot of the dirty work to allow the Badgers to get the rest of their defense in position to make plays.
2nd down and 5. And a big hole for a first down. Herron into the red zone. Brought down by Valai.
No, they decided this time, Wisconsin decided to bring a blitz, and they actually put themselves right out of position by blitzing. They took a chance, rolled the dice a bit on first down. You could see Claxton on one side coming through, St. Jean, the middle linebacker, coming through. And when they didn't make the play at the line of scrimmage, there's nobody left there, and that's big yards for Boom Herron.
Herron, the junior from Warren, Ohio, gets the handoff again and tries to break the daylight in the end zone, just short of it. Down to the 2-yard line, and Finellis again. But now the Bucks are knocking on the door here in Madison for the first time tonight.
And really the first time all year that Ohio State's offensive line has had a drive where they've kind of taken the fight to a good defense like this, and they're now kind of taking a page from Wisconsin's playbook, saying, hey, we're going to try to get physical with you as well and try to get Boom Herron to the second level without being touched.
Here's Pryor running all the way, cut back and stopped. St. Jean, the linebacker, up for the stop.
Anytime you put the ball in the hands of Terrell Pryor, especially down inside the 5-yard line, it's always a threat to a defense. St. Jean that time in perfect position, but you like to see the ball in the right hash. Give Terrell Pryor that ability to get out on the edge, out on the perimeter of the defense with the chance to either throw the football or, if it's covered, take off and run and head to the corner.
2nd down and goal for Pryor.
Pryor now motioning out.
He motions out. It's the Wildcat. It's Herron back there with a fullback. He'll run it to the left side, and he is stopped. Picked up about a yard. It'll bring up 3rd and goal. Tressel trying to get his running back to the point of attack a little bit quicker on that direct snap, which is why you see so many teams using the pistol. The Buckeyes have used their version of it a couple of times in this drive, where you line the quarterback up only 4 yards behind the center and the tailback right directly behind him. Now they split him off to the side on 3rd down and goal for Ohio State. Pryor, and he won't make it. And suddenly it is 4th and goal. Sorensen, St. Jean make the stop. Tressel electing to keep it on the ground that time rather than putting it in the air.
You know, as a quarterback, when you run the option, when you take the football, you have to have a mindset that you're going to keep the football and you're going to take it to the end zone until they take you away. Now, granted, there's 2 defenders there, but you'd have to have an aggressive mindset and attack the defense, force them to take you away, and then try to pitch it out to your tailback. He was very tentative there on 3rd down.
27-year-old Devin Barkley to attempt this field goal. And the one-time MLS soccer player puts the #1 team in the nation on the scoreboard, but they still trail it 21-3.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Acura, the most innovative thinking you'll find in an Acura. And Dr. Pepper. There's nothing like a pepper.
Basketball team, their first workout of the year. They return to historic Wisconsin Fieldhouse for the first time since '98. And there was Michael Finley out on the floor. Well, I have a moment. I want to pass along condolences to the Ohio State family and the family of Larry Siegfried, who passed away after suffering a heart attack. He was a member of one of the best college basketball teams ever. Jerry Lucas, John Havlicek, Bob Knight, Mel Knoll, Joe Roberts, and Larry Siegfried, who is no longer with us here tonight as the Buckeyes defend that kickoff. And it's time now for the Aflac trivia question. And Herbie, who are the three quarterbacks? And they're all big names, besides Terrell Pryor, since '98 now, to return to school after being named the Rose Bowl MVP. I'm going to give you a hint.
I got two.
A couple of them won national championships.
Okay.
We'll give you that. I mean, it's big names.
Boy, that's a big hint.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm feeling good.
I got you last week.
I know. You've been excellent all year, I might add.
I'm doing okay.
Okay. First down and 10 now for Scott Tolzien and the Badgers, who lead at 21-3. Going deep. Got a man. Incomplete. So Kyle Jefferson, a senior, number 3, and Torrance is the defender.
Brad, I think they're trying to catch Ohio State napping. You could see the slot receiver this time, Toon, a little out and a little up. He actually had Hines in one-on-one coverage, but it just the timing wasn't there. Remember, this is a team that's been running and running and running. That time, they got a matchup with one of their better receivers, isolated against Jermel Hines, who doesn't play great man-to-man coverage. They had him beat on an out-and-up. They just weren't able to execute.
That's Tolzien's first incompletion. And they come battering back with big John Clay from Racine, Wisconsin. And he picks up the first down. With Ron Dane here tonight, he reminds you a little bit of Ron, the way he's been running.
And again, he had surgery, 2 surgeries in the offseason for his ankles. He's been a little bit tentative coming back this year. Last week was a little bit of a glimpse of how he was coming back. Went over 100 yards last week against Minnesota. But the coaches said he's had a great week of practice. And because James White has been stealing so many of the headlines, people have kind of forgotten a bit about John Clay.
White replaces Clay. There's that flash screen now to the outside, and Toon, he picks up another first down. And let's go to Reese Davis for an update. Reese?
All right, Ryan. Brent, want to put our fingers on the primetime pulse. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Bank of America 500 at Charlotte, appear to be under caution on ABC. Kyle Busch is leading. Jimmy Johnson leads the chase, up by 36 points to start the night. On ESPN2, South Carolina is spanking Kentucky 28-10, about halfway through the third. And on ESPNU, Dan Mullen in the Swamp, a 10-0 lead on Florida midway through the second.
If that holds up, Herbie, did you tell me that would be 3 straight losses for the Gators?
Yeah, that's not good.
There's White rushing across the line of scrimmage, picking up a couple. Let's check in down below with Aaron, and there is a penalty flag, but let's go to Aaron anyway.
Brendan, just want to give you an update while we wait on word about this penalty here. Ohio State's defense, after John Clay ran in his second touchdown, defense came over to the sideline, throwing things, throwing cups, their helmets. The Buckeyes coaches came in very quickly to kind of cool them down, give them a talking to. So it'll be interesting to see how they react here on this drive. Heads up, too, guys. Ross.
10-yard penalty, first down.
One more thing, Brent. Ross Holman, linebacker for Ohio State. He actually had his shoe off with an ankle injury, so we've got to keep an eye on him tonight.
Wow. He's a very good linebacker. They can ill afford to lose him in a fist fight like this, which is what they're going to have the rest of the way with Wisconsin's offensive line and those running backs.
And John Newsome now comes in, and they'll move Andrew Sweat over to that linebacker position that Ross Holman was playing. But interesting report from Aaron. This defense for Ohio State has 7 senior starters. It's a veteran group. Now, this is uncharted waters to be on the road down like this, but they've been around and played a lot of football.
So it is 1st and 20 for Tolzien, and the penalty, after the penalty, I should say, on Toon. Tolzien straight back, takes off, not going to hurt you, but he wasn't going to gamble on an interception at this point of the game. Williams brings him down. You could see how he was securing the ball.
First time that Ohio State's been able to get pressure on Tolzien, and he actually, instead of just firing it out quickly, he actually gets back into the pocket. And I think it really started with Cameron Hayward just pushing John Moffitt back into the pocket, and it forced Tolzien to bail and get out of there, and then eventually Nathan Williams brought him down.
Inside of 5 minutes, first half. Badgers lead the Buckeyes 21-3. They return the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Tolzien, the senior now, with a quick changeup at the line on 2nd and 15.
Keep it up!
Has plenty of time and throws an interception picked up by Sweat. And he has given the Buckeyes a chance at the 40-yard line.
I think a late flag came in there as well, Brent. I wonder if it's a late hit over there.
Bit of a scrum over there on the far side. You can see the coaches immediately stepping in.
Aaron just talked about Ross Holman being out of the game, and Sweat has moved positions. John Newsome is in there, and Sweat moving to a new position, steps up and makes a huge play for Ohio State.
Foul, late hit. Wisconsin, number 84, 15-yard penalty, first down Ohio State.
That's their tight end, Kendricks, guilty of this.
Sweat is off to the left, just barely. You could barely see him. Speaking of barely seeing him, I don't know, Scott Tolzien, I don't think saw him at all. He threw that right into the chest of Sweat, who makes a huge play. And, Sweat hasn't played a lot of football this year, Brent. The main reason, they've been playing so much nickel. So tonight he's been asked to play a lot more.
Whoa, I joined the crowd. I didn't see that personal foul either. Regardless, Sanzenbacher coming around the left side. Looked to me like the tight end was going to the ground and rolled into somebody on that replay. That was a very tough call against the Badgers. Regardless, here we go, second down.
Looked like he kind of got blocked in his momentum, rolled him out of bounds.
Let's take another look at the end of this now. Remember, it's on 84. He's been blocked down on the ground. Rolls in. Bad call. The official didn't see how it began, that he was stumbling and falling to the ground. But regardless, second down and 9 now for Ohio State. Pryor, middle, incomplete. Posey, number 8, that's his preferred target. Sanzenbacher. They're the two wide receivers that he likes to go to in these situations. Third down here, Herbie.
Brent, I think he may have locked in that time to DeVere Posey, because look at 12, Sanzenbacher working behind the linebacker. See how he breaks free? Would have been a tight window, but a much easier throw than throwing it underneath there to DeVere Posey.
Must reach the 13-yard line. And timeout has been called. And it's the Badgers who will use up timeout.
Wisconsin.
So let's go to that Affleck, Herbie. I remember I asked you about the quarterbacks.
You really threw me for a curveball when you mentioned national championship. Joe Germain, I'm gonna guess.
No.
Joe Germain.
I think it was the year before.
Okay.
Okay. Since '98, there are the three now: Kenny Dorsey, Matt Leinart, and Vince Young. Okay. Now Leinart and Young, remember, they go on to win BCS national championships after they won the Rose Bowl. Thought it was sort of interesting, because of Terrell Pryor coming in here, but right now
he's not worried about that, is he?
No. No. I dare say, for folks who are watching college football and evaluating players, Herbie, it's my opinion right now, for the rest of the way, this is the most important game on national television that Terrell Pryor has found himself in. They want to see what he does when he's behind.
I think you're right. And I think not only that, but I think they want to see how he handles the #1 team, the pressure to succeed. And now being behind, the stakes get even higher. You're 100% right.
Here comes third down and 9 for Terrell now, and he's sacked. Sacked back at the 29-yard line. That was J.J. Watt, and what a story this young man is. Once a tight end over at Central Michigan, transferred back, walked on, and here he is.
And the right tackle, J.B. Shugarts, just whiffed On third down and long, Shugarts just misses Watt. You got to expect an outside move. Shugarts is surprised, and the quickness for the size of J.J. Watt at 295 pounds, he went right around him.
So here comes the Barkley field goal attempt, a 45-yarder. No good. The Badgers have returned a kickoff for a touchdown. Now they survive a field goal as he slides it to the left. It is still all Wisconsin. Let me follow up on J.J. Watt's amazing journey. Gave up that scholarship at Central Michigan, had to pay his own way, and his parents ponied up $20,000, delivered pizza, and finally earned a scholarship. He wants to play someday in the National Football League and buy his parents a home. He's just one of the finest young men that you will ever want to meet in college football. You pull so hard for the J.J. Watts of the world, and now White, the running back, pounds straight ahead. And here come the Badgers again with Brian Roll making the stop.
You couldn't say it enough about J.J. Watt, and the story is amazing. You're right. And to see the passion that he plays with, how much the game means to him. And on that third down, you could just see the energy kind of coming out of his body as he was able to get by the Ohio State offensive tackle and just went right by him on third down.
You know who I was thinking of when he did that? Jared Allen.
Yeah, good call. Same passion.
Second down and 3. Tolzien fakes the screen, and White picks up the first down, and that clock continues to move.
That missed field goal was so big for Wisconsin, and it hurt Ohio State so much. They got the big interception. Remember the late hit that was a little controversial, gave them 15 more yards, good field position, kind of what Jim Tressel wanted to see, maybe to get it at 21-10. With the ball to start the second half, Wisconsin forces the field goal. They miss it. Now the Badgers are back out here on the field, still trying to look for points, and at the very least, work this clock down.
And the clock continues to tick. White with a crease on that right side. Stop made by Roll again.
Ohio State's rushing defense being challenged in a big way. Obviously, the talent and the offensive line that they're facing, the best that they've seen. But coming in, they'd only allowed 78 yards a game on the ground. And already, not even to halftime, over 100 yards rushing. This is a team that's gone 29 straight games without allowing a 100-yard rusher. That also has almost been reached by Clay with 88 yards in the first half.
And here comes that jet into round, and it's Gilreath. And Gilreath is pushed out of bounds. There is a penalty flag back on the 45. Chekwa gets the runner out of bounds.
Holding. Offense, number 84. 10-yard penalty, second down.
That's Kendricks.
He locked into John Newsom, who has stepped in for Ross Holman. 84, who's become really a physical blocker. That time he just got locked up with Newsom. But Lance Kendricks, a wide receiver who moved to tight end, is kind of their H-back here. He's had a couple penalties not go his way here, but he is a fine-looking tight end, and with a line of tight ends that they've had here. Owen Daniels in the NFL, Garrett Graham last year, Travis Beckham. I mean, if you play tight end at Wisconsin, chances are you're going to the NFL.
Brett Bielema will try to run the clock out here in the first half. Second down and 15. Drops off basically a high percentage screen pass to White, and let's check in with Reese Davis.
Brent, coming up on the Wendy's halftime report, we'll show you how Iowa went into the big house and able to keep Shoelace all tied up. Arkansas and Auburn in an SEC record shootout. You won't believe how the Tigers stayed undefeated. And a Texas-sized upset, I guess you could say, that the Longhorns gave the Cornhuskers a fabulous parting gift as they head off to the Big Ten. We'll talk to Mac Brown, too. It's all coming up at halftime.
All right, Reese, and here surprisingly Tressel too going to let the clock run down. Did not use up a timeout as White is wrestled to the ground with 22 seconds. The Buckeyes still had 2 left. So obviously Trussell and the Buckeyes want to regroup just as well.
Yeah, I think it looks like maybe they're trying to stop it here, but I was surprised there. There were, I don't know, 45 to 50 seconds, 2 timeouts left, 3rd and 15. Wisconsin's just trying to work the clock down. Use your 2 timeouts on 3rd and 4th down, and who knows, maybe give Terrell Pryor a chance to move the ball down the field and get in field goal range.
Well, we want to remind everybody about Monday night. Now you'll get to see Chris Johnson. He'll be running for the Tennessee Titans. Maurice Jones-Drew running for Jacksonville. There's a young man I want to tell you about playing for Tennessee. His name is Mark Mariani. He's out of Havre, Montana. He walked on at the University of Montana for 2 years without a scholarship. Last week, he beat the Dallas Cowboys with a 73-yard kickoff return. 2 weeks before that, he went 98 yards with a touchdown kickoff return against Denver. Coach Jeff Fisher watching his son play for the Grizz, and he picked up a number 7 draft choice.
Wow.
And everybody thought it was just because he was a buddy of his son.
How about that?
The young man can flat play.
I'm glad you pointed
You
that
ever been
out.
to Havre? No, you've never been to Havre.
No.
Havre's very close to the Canadian border, up on that high line.
8-man
One of those
football?
small towns up there, a little 8-man football. And here comes Brad Nortman back to punt it. Nobody back, deep. Bucks all up front.
Now Bielema was calling a timeout.
Timeout, Wisconsin. 30-second timeout.
You said you read that promo with such energy, and I thought, man, there's a young man you need to. I think Chris Johnson and Vince Young.
They get all the pub.
Who do you got for me? I figured it.
When do I ever get a chance to talk about a 7th-round draft choice?
I had to circle back to Montana somehow, right?
You bet. He had a wonderful career out there as a wide receiver. And, you know, when you look around the league, every now and again you'll see one of those FCS players. They turn in a standout performance. I mean, they're sprinkled all around the National Football League. So, you know, people say, oh, they got beat, you know, when Virginia Tech went down. I will flat guarantee you there's 2 or 3 players on James Madison that are going to get a look by the NFL.
Absolutely. The talent definitely filters down. And right now Jim Tressel's trying to think about what he can do to try his days at Youngstown State winning championships. What can he do here to try to get his team to find a couple playmakers to help him out here? Nobody back again, Brent.
Into the end zone with 6 seconds. Well, if this holds up, Oregon is idle. If it holds up, will it be the Buckeyes and Boise? I mean, I should say Oregon and Boise State 1 and 2. Look at TCU. They won their game against BYU.
Interesting thing.
Interesting. Oregon plays UCLA on Thursday night.
Can Boise State, because of Nebraska losing, Oklahoma is up big right now. You don't know if they can close the gap, but could Boise State kind of break the ceiling and get up into the top 2 of the AP to Harrison, a coach's poll?
That's what's interesting.
If Ohio State loses.
That's exactly right, Herbie. We still got a half of football to go. Come on back. See if Jim Tressel can bring the Buckeyes back. John Clay with a huge first half, 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let's check in with Aaron Andrews.
Coach, you told me before the game we have to avoid distractions. What will your message be here at halftime to settle them down?
Well, we get to start the half with the ball. Obviously, we didn't start the game well, letting a kickoff go out in someone's home. But our guys will keep fighting. You know, obviously, they've run the ball well. We've got to find an answer to that. But, you know, there's 30 minutes. We have a chance.
What is your #1 adjustment in slowing down John Clay?
Well, you know, I'm sure we've got to tackle better and all the basic things. I don't think it's anything outlandish. We got to execute. We talked before. Execution's the key.
Thanks for your time. Brent.
Thanks, Aaron. 138 rushing yards for the Badgers. And now we go to Reese Davis, Mark May, and the good doctor, Lou Holtz, for the Wendy's halftime report. Take it away, Reese.
Brent, the last 2 years pretty much as scripted. Teams stayed at the top of the polls. You waited till the end to sort it out. But maybe shades of 2007 the last time number 1 lost in consecutive weeks. Back then it was LSU losing to Arkansas and then Missouri falling to Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game. Ohio State, though, as Jim Tressel said, 30 minutes to go. Are you, I know you have to be surprised at the dominance. What is it, do you think, that Wisconsin has done that has given Ohio State so much trouble?
Well, they just hit him right in the mouth offensively. Line up with 2 tight ends, and John Clay's got 88 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. When you've got a 240-pound back and you've got a great offensive line and you can line up and knock people off the ball and be dominant, that's exactly what Wisconsin's doing to Ohio State's front 7. They are knocking them back off the ball.
Well, I think that Wisconsin feels they had something to prove. You know, they outplayed Ohio State the last 2 years, lost both football games, but they came out and not only are they running football, they're playing very good defense. They are not letting Terrell Pryor beat them with his scrambling or his passing.
It's going to be interesting to see how Ohio State responds. They're not used to getting knocked around like this on a national stage.
And, you know, and Lou talked about for the last couple of days the number of non-offensive touchdowns that Ohio State put up in last year's meeting. Wisconsin sort of setting the tone immediately by putting up one of their own. Ohio State's had trouble with kick coverage. Big deficit for the Buckeyes to go up against in the second half. And we continue the Wendy's halftime report.
Welcome back to College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton Hotels. John Clay and the Wisconsin Badgers have stunned the number 1 team 21-3, but can they keep it up? The key here, Ohio State gets the ball to start the second half, and Herbie, this might be the most important drive of the year as far as the Buckeyes and Terrell Pryor are concerned.
Yeah, it definitely is the most important drive of the year for Ohio State and their offense and their hopes of trying to get back into this game. But if you look at it as an individual, there's never been more on a drive in Terrell Pryor's career than right here.
So here we go. At the goal line, and coming out is Jordan Hall, a former high school teammate of Terrell Pryor's. Well, Herbie, there's been all of the criticism as we take a look at what the kicking team didn't do for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, the opening play and special teams have been a problem for Jim Tressel's ball club this year. The opening kickoff on the road keeps the crowd in the game and gets them to believe, gets Wisconsin to believe. Their offensive line, give them a lot of credit. Big John Clay's been having his way, already 88 yards rushing in the first half. And you wonder, not only could Terrell Pryor get it going, but what can Ohio State's defense do to slow down Wisconsin from running the ball?
Now, here we go now to take long look at number 2. He'll have to throw as well as get the running game going one step at a time. And Herbie, you made such a key point about Jim Tressel in the first half. He's certainly not a coach at this stage of his career who's going to panic. As you take a look at the summary that we have, the Badgers 2 scoring drives, 25 plays, 147 yards. And you can see the Buckeye offense there, how sluggish it has been. A couple of punts early in the game, and they allowed 138 rush yards. And I see, Herbie, that we have an injured player. Jordan Cahoot of Wisconsin is down. Big defensive lineman.
Yeah, a big freshman who's really been holding the point really good for the Wisconsin defense in the interior. Looks like they're checking his lower right leg.
Aaron, we see Coach Brett Bielema out there with the young man. What did he tell you about the second half as far as the Badgers are concerned?
Brent, the plan for the second half stayed with the same game plan that helped him out in the first. They're going to keep running the ball, pounding it in. I said, well, yeah, but Coach Tressel just said they're going to have to make adjustments. And he said, well, they're going to see things we haven't shown them yet. Also, he stressed, we need to play clean, no penalties. And if you knew the storylines heading into this game, you can I know you know this answer. He wants ball security, no turnovers, and also you got to play the next 2 quarters. That was the message right there.
And you know, Aaron, nobody has forced more turnovers in the Big Ten than the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Absolutely, and that's going to happen if they have a chance of coming back in this game in the second half. You can look at 1 of 8 on passes of 5 yards or more, so not a lot of success downfield tonight for Pryor.
Hemer moves in at defensive tackle, and there is Watt again. Second sack of the night for J.J. Watt.
Look at the pit here, the left side. J.J. Watt just gets to the inside of the sophomore, the tight end, Fragel. Just gets, look at that. That's a man against boys against the tight end. Just pushes him to the side and attacks down. Terrell Pryor never had a chance.
Herbie, Coach Trussell telling us that he has the strongest hands he's seen on tape of a defensive lineman, and now he's seeing it in person as Brandon Sane comes in. Look at the size of those mitts. 3rd down and 8. Plenty of time. No receiver. Now in trouble again. And Watt is picked off. And that allowed Terrell Pryor to complete the pass to Dane Sanzenbacher, the senior from Toledo.
Boy, great patience by Terrell Pryor. Looked like J.J. Watt got off so quick. Look at that, right with the football. Shugarts does his best to actually double team him that time with Bryant Browning. But this is where I think Terrell Pryor's really matured as a quarterback. He didn't panic. Most importantly, as he's buying time, Brent, he kept his vision downfield and eventually found his man.
Danny Herron back in as the running back. And he picks up a strong 7 yards. Sorensen makes a stop. Incidentally, Mike Taylor, the starting linebacker for the Badgers, we get word injured knee. He may or may not return. He missed much of last season because of that injury. Then a young man by the name of Borland suffered another shoulder injury, and so they are without him. As you watch the linebacker there on the sideline, not wearing his helmet, not a good sign. 2nd down for the Bucks. First down on the Herron run.
You and I talked about it to start the half. You look at the score, you think 21-3 in the second half. Not a lot of time for Ohio State to get back in the game, and we continue to go back to Jim Tressel and his ability to remain calm in this kind of situation. Not abort the game plan, stick with what you think you can get done with the running game, and eventually get back to Terrell Pryor in the passing game and his creativity, but you can't get away from trying to still run that football.
Slipping is Herron, and he could not get away from Sorensen. Great play by number 9. The All-State, good hands here tonight. And Herbie, let's take a look at these hands of Watts.
Well, you know, and for his size, one of the great things you see from defensive linemen is they use leverage and they're able to use their hands. And J.J. Watt at 6'6", 295 definitely uses his hands and his quickness to make plays against the run and also pressure Pryor when he drops back to throw.
2nd down and 9. Now Pryor's going to back out. Got a man wide open, and a great grab by Sanzenbacher. Dane Sanzenbacher goes up and pulls it down as he broke wide open. That was a good play by the quarterback and the receiver.
Yes, sir, Brent. And a play like this takes time. Look how long this route is. You have one receiver just clearing the defensive back, and then the other receiver from the inside making his move to the outside. It takes a long time. The line this time does a good job, and Buttram almost gets there to be able to deflect the football, but the line held up and gave Pryor the time to make the throw.
From the 26-yard line, Boone Herron picked up about half a yard. Sorensen again making the stop.
These Wisconsin linebackers, right at the snap of the football, they're reading their keys, and they're attacking downhill. The last few plays when Ohio State is lined up in a certain formation, St. Jean on one side, Sorensen on the other, Kevin Claxton really attacking downhill, trying to take away the ability to run the football by Boone Herron and Ohio State.
Sane checks in. Terrell will follow him, and Sane makes a good seal block, and it's a first down for the Buckeyes. So how about number 3? Sealing it up. And watch Terrell.
Yeah, a great block by Sane. And also to the top right of your screen, Posey makes a good block on the corner. Finellis got just enough, made him collapse, kind of submarined him. And it gave, I think, Terrell Pryor enough room to be able to fight for that first down.
So this is the first drive of the second half, and the Buckeyes have taken it to the Badger 13-yard line for a 1st and 10 with Cahoot headed off after being injured.
And the loudest part of the stadium, they're going right into the teeth of that student section.
And now they put Heron in the Wildcat. Terrell Pryor up at the top of your screen, and here comes Heron looking for daylight, end zone, touchdown Ohio State. Second time tonight that Jim Trussell has called that play in the red zone.
How about how physical Boom Heron is here? This is a defensive tackle that gets inside and gets penetration. That was 87 Hemer, and Boom Heron, undersized at about 5'10", 200 pounds, just gave him a stiff arm and then continued. Once he got away from Hemer, good job of blocking on the left side and got him into the end zone.
Devin Barkley. So the Buckeyes deliver on their first drive.
Just talked about how important it was for Ohio State, for Terrell Pryor, get it to 21-10. They did what they needed to do. Now with the defense answer the bell to be able to stop Wisconsin from running the ball.
Game on, Herbert.
This telecast is available in 3D, presented by Sony.
So the Buckeyes have scored 10 unanswered points after being down 21-0. Now 10 minutes to go. Boom Heron with a 13-yard run, and Herbie, you can see how efficient that last drive was.
10 plays, 77 yards, 8 runs, and only 2 passes, and they took off not quite 5 minutes of the second half.
Basil with the ball on the tee. On the bounce, here comes Gilreath. Down on the 27-yard line. Remind everybody that Sunday NFL Countdown presented by IBM on ESPN Sunday at 11 Eastern. Chris Berman will have updates from stadiums around the league. One of the stories that they'll cover, the Patriots. Life without Randy Moss, who has to step up in that receiving role as the #1 target for Tom Brady. So that'll start tomorrow at 11.
Kind of has the feel, Brent, of Alabama, Arkansas from a few weeks ago, and Alabama, South Carolina last week were #1s on the road and in trouble. Does Wisconsin kind of start to work the clock and get conservative, or they keep attacking Ohio State?
Well, here comes Clay. And he's tackled behind the line of scrimmage. Chekwa comes in from his defensive back spot and makes the stop. Clay with a huge first half. For those of you who just joined us at the top of the hour, Wisconsin exploded for 21 unanswered points, and Clay rushed for 86 yards in that first half and scored a couple of touchdowns. Now when he comes to the sideline, that means that the 5'10", 198-pound freshman from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, James White, he leads this team in all-purpose yardage, but we have not seen him return a kickoff here tonight. They've been using it from scrimmage.
Tolzien sees man coverage on the outside.
Keep it out, man.
Looking to get after it. Comes back inside, and he did just that, Herbie. Nick Toon, the son of Al Toon.
He made this check at the line. He saw the matchup that he wanted. He spends a lot of time in the offseason with Nick Toon. He's his guy. You know, it's middle of June, July. You're looking for a receiver to throw. Nick Toon's the guy that wants to always throw with Tolzien, and there's a certain comfort level there. He sees him one-on-one against Chekwa and makes a great throw there, and a good adjustment by Toon.
Toon's sister plays on the Wisconsin volleyball team, and he has a second sister who plays on the Michigan volleyball team. So the Toons are very busy during the winter. Here's a handoff now to White. And he is stopped. Al Toon, of course, was a legendary receiver here in Madison. You can see what he accomplished here. And now his son is chasing some of those marks that Pop set. Paul Chryst could not say enough about Al Toon as a father. He said he is such a good dad. Comes around practice, but he doesn't take anybody aside, doesn't tell anybody how to play the game. He's just a father in support of his children, and he was very complimentary. 2nd down and 7. White. And now this will make 3rd and short as we check in with Reese Davis. Reese?
Brent, I want to give you a live look in on this Taco Bell studio update on ESPN2. Kentucky and South Carolina. South Carolina once had a 28-10 lead with just over 2 minutes to go. The Wildcats on the edge of the red zone facing a 3rd down and 3 as you look at Joker Phillips. The Wildcats head coach Mike Hartline's had a career high over 300 yards passing and just missed Randall Cobb there for a touchdown. We'll keep you up to date.
All right, Reese, and here it is 3rd down and 2 for the Badgers. Lead at 21-10. Short. Good defensive stand by the Buckeyes that time as John Clay had checked back in, and Andrew Sweat, who intercepted the pass, made the stop.
Absolutely. And boy, does he do a great job here on 3rd and short. Andrew Sweat fights off a block. And think about how much the offensive line was able to dominate the linebackers. Watch 42 right in the middle, able to fight off that block and then get underneath the ball carrier and keep him short of the 1st down. That's a big-time play there by Sweat.
Jordan Hall is back deep. Brad Nortman to punt it. Jordan waving everybody away from it. And it will be downed at the 6-yard line. When you come back, the Buckeyes will have the ball for the 2nd time this half.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by the new 2011 Lexus IS, wheeled precision. FIFA Soccer 11, available now, rated everyone. EA Sports, it's in the game. And the U.S. Postal Service.
The beautiful Capitol building here in Madison, Wisconsin. And while you're away, Terrell Pryor firing up his troops, slammed his helmet to the ground and delivered the message, let's saddle up and go again. And here comes Terrell himself, picking up 8 yards on that carry. Jay Valai makes the stop.
For the last time Ohio State had the ball, just the way Jim Tressel drew it up, I'm sure at halftime, Brent and I talking about how important it was to be able to get points down 21-3, and they did just that, going right down the field. Pryor making some plays with his arm, with his feet there, then boom, Heron right here, boom, a big stiff arm, and then takes it into the house for a touchdown. Defense holds up, makes some plays, and the Buckeyes offense back out of the field.
You bet. 2nd down and 2, and here is Heron being wrestled, but not before he picks up the 1st down. St. Jean trying to stop him and couldn't.
It's one of those games where it seems like every series we're talking about, this series is big and this series is big. And I think when you're number 1 and you're on the road and you get down by 21, it almost kind of gets into that mode where every series becomes imperative for both Wisconsin. This is a big stop for Wisconsin on this drive, and also for Ohio State. You imagine if they're able to cut this to 21-17, what that would do to Wisconsin after having such a big lead.
Low snap, handoff to Heron. Good hands that time by Terrell Pryor as he made the handoff, and Sorensen again making the stop for the Badgers.
Well, those linebackers continue to be very, very active. I'm surprised Ohio State coaches upstairs trying to see Sorensen, St. Jean, and Kevin Claxton flying downhill to be able to try to slow down the running game. And a lot of times the easy thing to do to try to slow that down is come back with a quick play action, hit a pop pass to a tight end or receiver behind him.
2nd and 7. 3 wide and a fullback in this formation.
Keep it up.
Pryor slashes underneath to Posey, and they'll spot that ball, I believe, for a 1st down as we check in with Reese Davis for an update.
Brent, South Carolina, Kentucky on ESPN2. 4th down, last chance for the Cats. Mike Hartline, Randall Cobb, touchdown. That Hartline name familiar to Buckeye fans. His brother played at Ohio State. 2-point conversion for Cobb, who, by the way, set a Kentucky career record for touchdowns with the previous catch. A minute away from beating Spurrier for the 1st time ever.
Amazing, and there is a penalty flag. The umpire calling holding, I believe, as Boom Heron is battling through. Meanwhile, Herbie, in a game that we are certainly interested in the outcome, unbeaten Oklahoma rolling over Iowa State 31-0.
Number 65, offense. 10-yard penalty, First down.
Next week, Oklahoma has to go to Columbia, Missouri for a battle of the unbeatens as Justin Bourne is called for holding.
And after what happened today in Lincoln with Mack Brown in Texas getting all over Nebraska, all of a sudden all the attention falls on Bob Stoops and the Oklahoma Sooners as far as trying to make a run. And Missouri's undefeated, but Oklahoma's up near the top 5 in the country, undefeated. With Nebraska taking a step back, they become the team that people are watching.
Sane alongside Pryor. Goes to 19 after the penalty. Slips a tackle and makes it to the 26-yard line. Where it will be second down and long. Finellis up to make the stop on Terrell.
Just a designed run there to try to get him to the perimeter of the Wisconsin defense. And even though he's covering ground with those long legs, at that time Wisconsin pretty good job of defending him. If you let Terrell Pryor with his size build up momentum, then you've got your hands full. But if you can make him kind of stumble around and make cuts, then he's not nearly as effective as a runner in the open field.
Second and 11 and back to pass. Diving reception for the first down by Posey.
For all the young wide receivers, Devere Posey putting on a clinic on how to come back to the football. There's the first down marker. You come back to the ball, and because he's willing to come back and fight back to the ball is down low. Terrell Pryor, a little bit of a long stride, but because Posey's coming back, he's able to get his arms underneath the football and make the catch.
Both Heron and Sane on for this play. Going to keep it in the air. Pryor runs to Sanzenbacher, working that far sideline again, and Finellis. And in these two drives, what stands out are the passes that Terrell Pryor is starting to throw.
He really looks like he's in command right now, making some great throws. I think Brandon Sane moving out to receiver, a little bit confused there with his route, but it did not affect Terrell Pryor and Dane Sanzenbacher in a rhythm right now. These first two drives in the second half, Ohio State seems to be gaining in confidence.
Play fake. Pryor complete to Heron. Not much of a gain as Sorensen's up to make the stop on the running back. So as we take a look at what Terrell Pryor has done first half, second half, you can see how he has picked it up here. Perfect so far in the second half.
And what I think is interesting is down 21-3, Jim Tressel's selection of the play call. Not getting away from that running game, doing just enough of mixing in the run with the pass and giving Pryor a chance to be that much more effective throwing the ball.
Minute and a half in the third, and there is that run play, Herbie. Just as you said, he's not giving up on the run. Stopped by Armstrong, Ethan Armstrong, backup linebacker, now on the field for the Badgers.
Boy, big third down coming up here for both teams. You wonder if Ohio State, wonder if Jim Tressel would look at that as 4-down territory, or would he look at it and think, you know what, even if we come up short here, either the long field goal or possibly a punt, but it's a big third down.
Sane is on the field. Delays and comes out, and Terrell Pryor takes off. Throws it back middle, and cut by Sanzenbacher for a first down. Made something happen.
Shades of Anthony Gonzalez. Troy Smith to Anthony Gonzalez back in 06. Unbelievable effort here. Wisconsin trying to bring him down. He does the Cardinal sin. You never throw back after you scramble to the outside. But because he had his man, and I think it's because Sanzenbacher that time does a good job again of being able to find the football and going up and making that catch.
Sanzenbacher with two fine catches this half. Cut back by Terrell Pryor, what he does so very well. Picking up 8 on that first down as the final seconds tick away. Student body about ready to jump around here in Madison, but they're going to jump around with a little unease as Terrell Pryor is bringing them down, and the big defensive lineman is coming back. That's Jordan Cahoot. right back. It's jump around time in Madison. The Wisconsin Badger tradition between the third and fourth quarter. But tonight, jump around has a wrinkle. Take a look at the Ohio State Buckeyes sideline. They all started jumping around.
As you said, game on. Fourth quarter's going to get interesting.
Jordan Hall has now checked in. He's thrown a halfback pass, and he has run. Trying to battle for that first down, and Claxton makes a stop. Herbie, let's go back to 2008 when we were here.
Yeah, remember 2008, Terrell Pryor. Really, this is the first time he was tested. He was a true freshman. He'd taken over that year for Todd Beckman. Ohio State's down by 4. They need a touchdown. He leads them on a 12-play drive late in the game to an eventual game-winning touchdown. So he's familiar with this atmosphere, and he's familiar with trying to execute when the pressure's on. He did that as a true freshman back in 08.
Needs a yard on third down. Herring gets it easily. And now it is that Buckeye offensive line that is starting to exert itself. Brewster, Browning, and Bourne in the middle. And there is the fullback, the younger brother of the guard.
Watch his block, Brent. You'll love it. Zach Bourne leading the way. Big block on that linebacker. Armstrong puts him on his back. That's one in the film room where the players have a lot of fun. He takes on a linebacker, drives him, keeps driving him, puts him on his back, and gives Boom Herron enough room for the easy first down.
Jordan Hall back on the field. And they line him up in the Wildcat. Remember, he has been able to throw, and he'll throw again. Looking, couldn't find a receiver, so he'll take off. To the 13-yard line.
I'm glad you brought up his ability to throw the football, because I think it affected Wisconsin. They knew what to expect because of the throwback earlier this year. It almost set up like a draw, like a quarterback draw. Wisconsin respected his ability to throw the ball so much, and you know that they've been looking at that look all week, that when 7 takes the direct snap, get ready, but it opened it up and cleared the area there for him to pick up big yards.
2nd and 4. Buckeyes inside the 10 and a timeout.
Brett Bielema
all the way down to the end of the field wanted that timeout.
He ran about a 4.940 there. That was pretty good for the big fella.
The coach who's in shape, eh? Ohio State can get a first down without scoring a touchdown here. Markers at the 4-yard line. This is 2nd down for Terrell Pryor and the Buckeyes, who have dominated the third quarter. Bourne is set in front of Herring. Play action fake. Pryor keeps it himself. Tries to get the edge short of the first down. And Sorensen was over there. Valai helped jam the play up at the point of attack, and Sorensen brings him down.
Great call, Brent. Valai, too, the top of the screen. The safety, he's going to try to fight and hold off the best he can against Browning. But the fact that he got to the outside and kind of set the edge, that forced Terrell Pryor back to the inside, which is exactly where the rest of the Wisconsin defense, led by Blake Sorensen, was waiting for him.
Now, Trussell did not throw the ball earlier in the first half when he got down here on 3rd and let's see what he does here. Needing 3, keeps it on the ground and got the first down. Herring right over the top, and it'll be 1st and goal for the Buckeyes.
Tell you what, this Ohio State offensive line tonight, when they've needed to come up with some tough yards at crucial moments, give them a lot of credit because they've gotten a good push, and there is Zach Bourne again getting the block that he needs to pick up on the linebacker to free up the running back to pick up the first down. But the offensive line, much maligned offensive line at times, doing their job tonight.
Against goal line, it'll be Herring again behind the left side, and it will be 2nd down and goal.
Now, this is a 18-play drive. They converted 3rd down 3 times. Here's that push, much like what Wisconsin relied on earlier in the game. When it's working, you continue to go back to it. Now they're inside the 1-yard line. That is 7 straight running plays for the Buckeyes.
Make it 8 straight. Touchdown, Herring. Mike Adams and Justin Bourne on the left side, the left tackle and the left guard from Dublin, Ohio and Pinkerton, Ohio. They blow it open.
How neat is it for Justin Bourne, the senior who transferred from Michigan, to have his younger brother Zach Bourne, the leading fullback. And if you're Boom Herron, you follow 65 and 44 to the promised land every single time in short yardage.
Now is he going to try to get it on the 3? Boom Herron checking the playbook. Trussell had come out to the 25-yard line. He's got his offensive personnel out there right now. They'll try to get it on the 3. Go for 2. Here's Pryor, going to pull back, fire backside. Got it. A 2-point conversion. Reed Fragel, his first catch of the night. They are back to within 3. 2 possessions, 2 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion. This is beautiful action by Pryor. At the Quaker Steak and Lube and all the other wonderful pubs in Madison, Wisconsin, I can imagine that everyone is glued to their TVs right now. There is no bigger series than the one coming up for the Badgers. They've been dominated so far here in the second half. And now the Buckeyes have closed to within 3. From the 1, David Gilreath. Out of bounds on that far side. We take a look at tonight's extraordinary performances on this eventful Saturday again. Texas, a 10-point underdog, went to Lincoln and shocked Nebraska this afternoon. But there were others. Iowa winning in Ann Arbor, and now they set sail after a Big Ten title. Not to overlook the shootout with Auburn hanging on and beating Arkansas. And tonight's extraordinary performance brought to you by the ABC show No Ordinary Family. That's on Tuesdays at 8, 7 Central on ABC. 21-18 now. Scott Tolzien has James White at the I-back. They're going to play fake, and they're going to put it up on first down. He throws in underneath to Brady Ewing, his fullback, Andrew Sweat. Herbie, talk about Andrew Sweat and why he's making so many plays here tonight.
Yeah, I think he has shown a great deal of versatility tonight. He started on the strong side as a linebacker, really lined up mainly across from the tight end. And now, because of the injury to Ross Holman, he has made most of his plays on the weak side, playing Ross Holman's position. And that's forced John Newsom to take over for Sweat's original spot tonight. But really a lot of versatility, and really his first true opportunity to play a lot of football is tonight.
Second down and 3 for Tolzien of the Badgers. Another play action. Going to put it back up. Dropped. White, the intended receiver, and we check in with Reese Davis for an update.
All right, Brent. SportsCenter right now brought to you by Discover. Kentucky beat South Carolina. 2 top 10 teams go down to unranked opponents. South Carolina in field goal range. They took 1 shot at the end zone, and Steven Garcia was picked off by Anthony Mosley. Jubilation after Kentucky had a heartbreaking loss to Auburn last week. Giants and Phillies. Giants a couple of home runs from Cody Ross. They're up 2-1. Rangers tied the series with the Yankees, beating the Yanks 7-2.
And here, Reese, the #1 team in the nation, trying to come all the way back. Once down 21-0, and they slip it through to Nick Toon for the first down. What a big play.
Big third down, and it's Nick Toon going up against Checkwell. Look at the line of scrimmage. I think Checkwell was surprised. He got caught off guard. He never had a chance from the beginning of that play. Toon got off the line of scrimmage without being jammed. It freed him up to get downfield, and once he got off the line that easily, it made it very simple for Tolzien to find him downfield.
Man, Paul Christ is dialing up the passing plays here with Scott Tolzien. They're not sitting on a thing. First down and 10. They've got the ball across midfield. John Clay back in the game. And they throw quickly to the outside, and that receiver, Nick Toon again. Hines makes the stop. They were a little bit soft over there, and he just flipped it to him.
They were soft, and the linebacker, 55 Newsome, right in the middle of the screen. See how slow he is to even recognize the football? That's what happens when you lose Ross Holman. You put Sweat on the other side, and John Newsome, as a sophomore, is getting some of his first time he's had a chance to play as well. Slow to react, giving the receiver more room to work out on the outside of the defense.
Great passing down on play action here. Second down and short, but they elect to play it conservatively. Pick up the first down. Johnson makes the stop for the Buckeyes.
We've talked a lot about how Ohio State has had to have some big drives, and look, it's gut check time, and how are they going to respond? Well, with Ohio State taking over and sort of dominate the second half, really a big drive for Scott Tolzien and this Badgers offense.
Buckeyes will try to hold them to a field goal. Badgers will try to finish it. First down across the 35-yard line. You test the wills here in the fourth quarter. 9.5 minutes. Coming back with Clay again.
There's Sweat again, Brent, down at the bottom of that pile, making plays. And Ohio State, Jim Tressel telling Aaron Andrews walking off at halftime about the adjustments and what they have to do to be able to try to tackle better and be in position better to make plays. Or whatever Luke Fickell and Jim Haycock, the defensive coordinators for Ohio State, decided to do. Maybe they just motivated them. But right now, it's a different look in the trenches in the second half up front for Ohio State.
Lance Kendricks has been very quiet. He's number 84 for the Badgers. James White, good receiver. Back in at running back, the freshman from Fort Lauderdale. Gilreath comes through the formation. Tolzien, time, middle, first down, and it was the youngster James White that time, circling out and making the play.
Now, Ohio State looked a little bit confused at the top with, again, Newsome and Hines, and Tolzien, though, just kind of waiting his time. White comes out, sits exactly where he needs to be to give Tolzien his check down, and there's that acceleration from James White. Tune's up at the top. See two Ohio State defenders. One of them, Jamel Hines, runs right directly into Nick Tune, who's been battling a turf toe most of this year.
That extra tight end, Big Bill Knott, comes onto the field. Tune being tended to on the side. First down and 10. White stays in as a running back. Hole on the left side. Into the red zone. Torrance with the stop for Ohio State.
Well, Scott Tolzien, and you said Paul Chryst, the offensive coordinator from Wisconsin, deciding to mix in the play action by throwing the football. They get back to running the football this time. Big hole on the left side. James White's able to take advantage of that. But really, Scott Tolzien, we're not talking a lot about him. 12 of 15 tonight for 119 yards, making good decisions for Wisconsin in most cases.
Second and 4, White again, off the left side, got the first down. Sweat makes the stop. So the two-headed running back tandem in Madison. Clay's carried 17 times and White 16.
And when in doubt, Brent, run to the left side with left tackle Gabe Karimi, who's all-conference a year ago, very strong, and also making his 43rd start tonight, and John Moffitt making his 36th start. He also was all-conference last year in the Big Ten.
Jim McKnight of USC, the last 100-yard rusher against these Buckeyes. And here comes White, going end zone, touchdown!
Just talked about the confidence they have on the left side, and the blocks were sustained up front. But let's give James White, the freshman, a lot of credit with fresh legs coming in throughout this football game for John Clay. Is able to kind of work his way through that hole and then breaks the tackle, shows the toughness to get it into the end zone.
The Badgers will not be denied. They're back out by 10. It's Terrell Pryor's turn when you come back.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here. And in part by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun.
The University of Wisconsin is situated right along the southern shore of Lake Mendota. This is one of the finest college towns in this country. If you like to visit different venues and see college football games, put down Madison on your must-see list. A chance to dump number 1. From the 5-yard line is Berry. And Berry is stopped at the 28-yard line. We remind everybody now, join Mike Tirico and the gang. ESPN's Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern. It'll be Tennessee against an AFC South rival, Jacksonville. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served up by Applebee's. Always fun to gather around the TV on Monday night. Listen to the guys, catch all the highlights from Sunday. Look ahead. Key shot of the guys do a great job in the studio setting the scene. Now Danny Herron in as the running back. Incomplete, and it's 2nd down and 10. Zach Bourne, the intended target.
And Blake Sorensen that time forced Pryor. He could not get to the outside, and it's okay that you can't get to the outside, but you've got to be able to follow through and make an accurate throw to your fullback that slipped out to the outside. If Bourne makes that catch, he picks up a 1st down.
That is Pryor's first incompletion of this half.
Yep.
Straight back. 3rd down and 10. Torian Washington, the target.
You know, the areas that Pryor has improved the most, Brent, sometimes go unnoticed by fans, but it's his balance in the pocket. It's his footwork. It's just being in rhythm. In those last 2 throws, the first time we've seen him the whole second half, where it's not that he's making a poor read, it's he just looks a little bit off-centered, and he's throwing the football a little awkwardly there. You wonder if the pressure and him having to pass is creating that.
Fourth down. Posey, the intended target.
He's telling Coach Tressel to let's go for this here on 4th down. But again, 3rd time we've seen that. That time the nose of the football down, creating the spin of the football to go down towards the turf. And those 3 throws, he just looked a little bit out of sorts.
Let's talk about now. 6:36. Jim Tressell's down by 10. He needs 2 scores to tie. And he elects here not to gamble, because if they fail, they would give Wisconsin just fabulous field position. So he's going to punt it away. And Gilreath makes the fair catch at the 32-yard line. Hammer time coming up for the Badgers. Well, this telecast also available in 3D on ESPN 3D, brought to you by Sony. Fans are here in Madison at the Bud Light viewing party outside Camp Randall Stadium, and they're experiencing the latest and newest and greatest technology firsthand. So what do you do on your wedding night? You come and check out a little 3D.
Sounds like a plan.
Here we go. 6:29 with a 10-point lead. Play action. Paul Chryst whistles up a pass, fires middle, wide open. What a play call. Pedersen, the tight end. And Hines makes the stop, and the Buckeyes were not expecting that. A 33-yard pass play.
He's lined up to the right, the tight end to the right. He's just going to kind of disguise what he's doing. He clears the traffic. Good job by Tolzien to step away from the pass rush of Cameron Hayward. But Pedersen's all alone in the backside. An amazing, gutsy call here late by Paul Chryst.
We may have some schools around the Big Ten or even in the Big Ten looking for a new head coach. I would say you're going to want to talk to Paul Chryst. He's going to be a head coach someplace someday. He's one of the best. First down and 10, handoff now with Clay pounding away.
When you make a call like that late in the game, I think it tells you a lot about how he feels about Scott Tolzien as a senior quarterback and the trust that you have to be able to make that call. That's a big-time call late in this game. That could kill the will of an Ohio State defense, that call.
No question. When you pass up going for it on 4th and 10, you've got to gamble you're going to get the ball back. You can't allow him to do this. And Clay now has rushed for 99. He'll be just 1 yard away, becoming the first back to rush for 100 since Joe McKnight. We had that game with USC. You go for right here, and he's got it. Passes 100 yards. Remember, he did not gain 100 against Michigan State. That snapped his streak, and that is the game the Badgers lost earlier up at East Lansing.
Said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. The left side of Wisconsin's offensive line, along with the big center, Peter Kahn's just taking over these last 2 drives, going to the veterans along with John Clay. When you really need the yards, that's where they've been able to come up with them. And Brett Bielema told me on the field before the game, we were talking about his defense or about his offense, and he said, you know, Ohio State, that 29-game streak without 100 yards, we've got to snap that tonight. So that was kind of a personal challenge I think Brett put on his running backs tonight for this game.
Here's Clay, tackled at the line of scrimmage. I will tell you where there are a lot of folks about to get real excited. We were there, Eugene, Oregon, a couple weeks ago. They could come to 1 in the human polls if the Ohio State Buckeyes lose this game. And remember, on Thursday, they've got UCLA.
Absolutely, and it's not a bad way to spend your off week if you're Chip Kelly and you're Darren Thomas and LaMichael James. Sit back and watch a lot of football. I'm sure there are a few Ducks out in Eugene right now that are watching this football game, and you have an off week and you move up to number 1.
And Boise State, if they take care of business and put a big number up on San Jose tonight, they figure to slide up to 3, right?
Yeah, I would think.
Or
they could get up
Oklahoma
to 2.
now.
I think they could get to 2, and I think Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. I meant 2.
Yeah, and Oklahoma becomes a big factor. They're up 45-0 on Iowa State. The big game next week for the Sooners, of course, where they go to Missouri to take on an undefeated Tigers team. So, but now it just continues to reshuffle the deck. You know, Ohio State doesn't look like they're going to be able to come back from this, and now we just kind of sit back and wait. But Boise State and TCU, another team goes down, and it helps them. They need help. Yeah.
Because remember, they don't play Michigan State. Let's say Ohio State had won this.
Right.
A lot of these other unbeatens like Missouri and Oklahoma play each other, so they're going to take 1 down.
Absolutely.
Everything is working to Boise State's benefit here so far. There's no question about that.
Yep. They needed help, and they're getting it.
And then at 8:15 tomorrow night, we'll all check in. And before we watch the Sunday Nighter a little bit, we want to see what the BCS standings are. And again, ESPN will have those for you at 8:15 tomorrow night. So you're going to want to come on over and see how it shakes out. Obviously, it's early in the process. And as we told you on that last run, John Clay went over 100 yards. Last 30 games, and we talked about Joe McKnight. So John Clay scored a couple of touchdowns in the first half. He's a young man who has shaved the numbers of his offensive linemen into his head prior to this game. Fine young man out of Racine. Here's the season-ending award that they're all going for, the Coach's Trophy, presented by Dr. Pepper. This is a big, big setback for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, it is. It is. Aspirations with a veteran team and a playmaker quarterback. To favorable schedule, with the exception of coming to Madison and going to Iowa City. They thought they had a real shot to run the table and maybe make a shot at a national championship game. But give Wisconsin all the credit in the world. And, you know, John Clay, he's been battling through those injuries to his ankles. Tonight, great to see him get on track against a very talented Ohio State run defense. He made the plays that he had to make and got a lot of help from that big offensive line. And Scott Tolzien from throwing the ball to keep Ohio State's defense honest.
3rd and 10. 4:27. Tolzien in trouble, and now 4th down, and let's see what Bielema elects to do here. Johnson makes the stop, and he's shaken up on the play. The Buckeyes will use the timeout. Let's check in on the AP top 10. I may have confused everybody because Oregon could climb to 1, Boise State to 2, and we can't overlook TCU. Nebraska, of course, is going to fall.
Look out for the Sooners because
Oklahoma and Auburn coming, right?
Yeah, that's the challenge for Boise State and TCU. Not just having Alabama lose last week and Ohio State lose, potentially lose here this week, but you have to look out for the teams behind them. Don't forget Auburn and LSU, a big showdown next week.
Good point.
2 teams that are in the top 10 right now, they're both going to move up this week, so that's a big showdown at Jordan-Hare.
And here is Welsh on the field. Philip Welsh to attempt a 41-yard field goal to make this a 13-point advantage. Nails it. Buckeyes have 4:14 left when you come back. So we are back in Madison. Number 1 in serious jeopardy of losing. And that would be back-to-back weeks that we would have the number 1 team upset. Alabama lost a week ago to South Carolina. And here the Badgers are dictating. 4:14 to go. From the 2, it's Berry. And he's out to the 26. And, of course, every Sunday now you'll be able to catch the BCS Countdown Show for the exclusive unveiling of the new BCS rankings. Find out tomorrow night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern who's in the driver's seat. So that's 5:15 out in Eugene and along the Pacific Network. I know you'll be with us to see who's in the driver's seat. Do they make the duck do pickups if they or push-ups if they climb to number 1?
He's in great shape now. He's ready for that number 1 ranking.
Brandon Sane checks in. In trouble. Second down.
Another risky throw. You know, look at Ohio State giving up 31 points tonight to Wisconsin. You got to go all the way back to 2006, a game that you and I did when Ohio State was number 1 and they beat Michigan that game 42-39. But it's been that long since they've given up over 30 points in a Big Ten game.
It was interesting, Herbie, that Wisconsin pounded them, especially in the first half.
Yeah.
Buckeyes rallied, and then Paul Christ and Scott Tolzien, they dialed up some passing plays, and they came down for that huge touchdown to make it 10. And Pryor's in trouble now. Sane at the 40-yard line makes the grab.
They're making Terrell Pryor earn every yard. He ran to his left. He came back to his right. He almost thought he was going to break contain and get outside of Watt, but he had to come back and eventually find an open Brandon Sane. But, man, he expended a lot of energy to come up with that first down.
Clock stops at the 3:24 mark.
Again, making him work for it. David Gilbert that time, the outside linebacker, defensive end, chasing him out of bounds. Terrell Pryor needs to be aware that even though he went out of bounds, until you get to 2 minutes, when the official starts the play clock, the game clock continues. Not a lot of urgency right now out of Pryor. Ball low again.
I want to remind everybody that next week, Herbie and Aaron and I will be on ABC at 8 Eastern, and we will be in Columbia, Missouri, a battle of the unbeatens late in October. Oklahoma and Missouri.
Yeah, great game. Missouri's defense been playing very well. You typically think of Missouri, you think of offense, but their defense will challenge Oklahoma.
Pryor short of the first down. J.J. Watt, number 99, with that fear-nothing wristband.
How fitting that he makes this play. They move him to the middle, Brent. He's a defensive end, but I think they were anticipating Pryor on a quarterback draw. Great decision that time by Dave Doran, lining him up over Brewster, the center, and his quickness got around Brewster.
Diving catch by Posey. Let's see where the mark is. Right at that first down mark. Picks it up.
He came in and waved it off. Yeah, the umpire waved it off.
Trussell asking for an explanation. Instant replay will obviously take a look at it. I mentioned that wristband that J.J. Watt has on that says fear nothing. As you take a look at this, instant replay will be checking this out.
Pretty good effort.
That's pretty close now.
I think he made the catch.
See what instant replay does. But there's a young cancer patient in this town, and I know he's sitting on the edge of his seat right now. Jackson Hinkins. And he's had great support from Scott Tolzien and J.J. Watt. And oh, how he loves the Badgers. And it was so great today on game day to see that the young man is now cancer-free. It was such a great moving story. The young man came here to the stadium for college game day today, and mom and dad, and it's just one of those heartwarming stories about this game, Herbie. It really, it's proud to be around it. Let's go down for more on this story. And here's Aaron Andrews. Aaron.
On it. There's the mic. Just to add on this, Brent, real quick, he is sitting in head coach Brett Bielema's box tonight. Like you mentioned, he was out at college game day with his Green Bay Packers jersey on and his Scott Tolzien jersey, and he is cancer-free right now. They are working. He just finished his last treatment in the hospital, and Herbie knows he was out on set, and he was as hilarious out on set with us today as he was in the video. But a nice moment when Brett Bielema was talking about just him feeling like he was part of the team when he was walking out onto the field, and it obviously got the head coach very emotional and this team very excited he's in attendance tonight.
That's wonderful.
He is a huge fan. He came on the set after the show, and he had his Badgers jersey on, but he also had his Desmond Howard Green Bay Packers jersey on underneath it. So he was fired up.
And Herbie, tonight, J.J. Watt had 3 tackles, sack, and a tackle for a loss, and we take
Brent, I think he caught it. I just wonder the spot of the ball. Is it a first down? You know, I think that they're taking an extra look at this, not just because to see if he was able to control the football, because I think he did. I just wonder if the spot gives him the first.
After further review, the receiver had firm possession of the ball for a catch, giving Ohio State a first down at the 48.5-yard line.
That's a big-time play by Posey to not only make the catch, but to be able to pick up that first down, obviously on 4th down. And you know, J.J. Watt, 99, Brent, he's going to be coming after Terrell Pryor again.
81,194 Camp Randall Stadium on hand here in Madison tonight. Sea of red for these two schools. .230 now, and Pryor and the Bucks have to hurry. Going down again, J.J. Watt.
Now they move him to the outside, and he just manhandles Mike Adams, gives him a move, and works to the inside. You talk about a combination of skills, the power, great size, great determination, and also incredible quickness for a man of his size.
2nd and 21. Down the middle, Sanzenbacher for a first down for the Bucks.
Sanzenbacher, most consistent receiver tonight for Pryor, has been making some circus catches, and this one it looked like Terrell Pryor may not be able to give Ohio State much of a chance here trying to get points on the board. Sanzenbacher comes up with a big one, and it's a nice throw by Pryor.
94 yards in the game for number 12. Pryor's got time, going end zone, out of the end zone. That was Posey, the intended target.
Obviously, Ohio State thinking touchdown without any timeouts. It'll come down, if they're able to get a touchdown, come down to an onside kick. But Jim Tressel trying to pull out all the stops to see if they can somehow get the football into this end zone. But again, without any timeouts, it's pretty much down to these next few plays to see if Pryor can somehow get it into the end zone without the clock running down.
Second and 10. Pryor's out of bounds, stops the clock. Now down to 1:22. Muldoon in pursuit.
That was great coverage that time by Niles Brinkley. Locked down Posey on the outside, took him away, and that's where Pryor tried to get the football thrown to, but Brinkley never gave up on the play.
Intercepted. Let the party begin in Madison. Blake Sorensen has intercepted Terrell Pryor with 1:13, and come tomorrow, there'll be a new number 1.
Really, really big win for Wisconsin. And Brent, I think you and I agree, for Brett Bielema. He's come close in some of the bigger games, but for he and his team to come up with a win against Ohio State, kind of that signature win that you need, knocking off the number 1 team, knocking off Ohio State. They've been so close since he's been the head coach here, taking over for Barry Alvarez. Congratulations to Brett Bielema and his staff for putting together a great game plan and his players going out and executing.
Their last win over a number 1 team, 21-14 over Michigan. That was September 12th, 1981. That was right here in Madison. Again, 1981. And now here tonight, they have knocked off number 1 Ohio State. We will see what the human polls do, and then at 8:15 tomorrow night on ESPN, what the BCS shakes out. Boise State could certainly stay number 1 in the BCS. What a feeling for these Badger youngsters to come in here and win this game. That's the good news. The tougher news is Iowa's next for Wisconsin as Jim Tressel trots across the field for the handshake with Brett Bielema. And some of the students making their way onto the field.
Oh yeah, they're going to come. They're definitely going to come out here and celebrate.
It is something to celebrate when you pick off number 1 in this situation. And do it the way they did it tonight. Now everybody in Madison can jump around.
Official.
Exactly. Got a little tense there in the second half. And the Buckeyes came bounding down. There you see the numbers of the offensive linemen. Shaved into Big John Clay's head. Coach, biggest smile we've seen in a long time. Some of his good friends here in town. Barry Alvarez, of course, is his athletic director. He came in, spoke to the team earlier this week.
Brent, after losing to Michigan State a few weeks ago, I think a lot of people maybe gave up on this Wisconsin team, but they've been able to get healthy, keep their focus. Got back on track last week with a big win over a rival against Minnesota, but they really were pointing to this game to be able to show people that this is a good football team, and they were able to do it.
Let's go to Aaron.
All right. All week long, the media had been harping 0-3 against Ohio State. Not only do you get your first win against Jim Tressel, but a signature one against #1 in the nation. How do you put it into words?
Well, you know, what we talked about all week was playing Wisconsin football, and I thought our kids stuck to the plan. Nobody deviated from what we did. There's a tremendous amount of respect from this sideline to Coach Tressel and his guys. They've been at the top for so long, but, you know, we got a tough stretch here going to Iowa next week, and I'm just excited about the way kids played.
John Clay, just a dominating performance in the first half. What was working for him against this Ohio State defense?
I think he's been thinking about this game for a long time. We've talked all week, you know, 29 games without a 100-yard rusher against him. I thought our two guys came out there and really competed well, but I challenged their offensive line at the beginning part of the week. Said it's on you guys. If we're going to have success, it starts with both sides of the ball on the line, and they really came through.
And why did that offensive line have so much success?
I think that they put a hat on a hat. They played with good fundamentals, good base. Didn't really, you know, get away from the things that we talk about daily. We won this game because of what we do 365 days a year, and it came through in the end.
There was also a lot of emphasis on Scott Tolzien, the fact he had those 2 turnovers last year for 2 scores. How would you evaluate his play?
Well, it's consistent, Scotty. I know everybody saw the special he did today with Jackson, and great. He's actually here in attendance today. We'll get a chance to see him hopefully in the locker room, but Scotty is the same guy he is every day, and it's just a pleasure to be around him. This program is a true representation of what Scott is, you know, doing the things right on and off the field, and special days like this happen.
Go enjoy that win with your family and Jackson. Thank you. Brent.
So Wisconsin wins it 31-18. There will be a new #1 tomorrow. And up next on ESPN, College Football Scoreboard. Next week, you'll find us on ABC, Saturday Night Football, 8 Eastern. Oklahoma will take on Missouri. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Along with Kirk Herbstreit, Aaron Andrews, and our entire crew, I'm Brent Musburger. Good night from Madison. Now let's send it to Reese Davis and the gang in the studio. What a night in Madison, Reese.